All right, it's done. Chess has been finished. Started recording and filming over a year ago today as I'm making this. And it was really fun, but I am glad to be done with shooting this and editing because this was a really ambitious project, and there was over probably 60 visual effects shots that I had to edit. And, on set, I was wondering why we got everything done so quickly. Took 3 days of shooting to get a 7-minute film done. And I thought it was going to take a couple weeks to edit, but here I am a year later, knowing that I was completely wrong. But I learned a lot, and I want to share the process of making this film with you guys. So that's what I'm going to do today.
Alright, so it's a wrap. How do you feel, Ryan?
Amazing.
First direct.
It was stressful, but afterwards, once I started doing it, everything got easier and everyone was amazing. Everyone was so helpful. Got my amazing pawns, these amazing people. Really good first film. Really happy with how it turned out. Can't wait to edit it. It's gonna look amazing.
Hell yeah.
We're gonna
good shit, buddy. Yep.
action. Yes. All 32 of them. Forward. We're gonna shoot for 10 seconds, that's all. All right, scene 11A, take 2, rolling, and action.
See how it just, alright, do it.
That's something I need to learn.
What?
Oh, slow-mo?
I mean, bro, it's just it's all about shoulder movement. Just grab it.
Yeah, I'm not
grab it, and then
adept with gimbal yet, so I need to get used to it. That's my whole
Yeah. I used the different gimbal because I used to skate.
Oh,
I would hold like the ones that would just like be like this the whole time, and then just
I need to get used to that because part of me is so afraid I'm gonna drop it. I might drop it.
We got Mr. Hairy Man right here. How do you feel about rapping?
He wasn't talking about you.
I'm talking about this guy.
Oh, you said Berry Man.
No, I said Hairy Man.
Oh.
So how do you feel about rapping
that was
our
too much.
first Los Rockstars
First official
production?
film. So it was pretty. Oh shit. Yeah, it was pretty fun, pretty nice. I trust Ryan and his vision, and I think it's gonna be pretty funny, pretty good film. Yeah.
Perfect.
So, filming went pretty well. There was a lot of things that could have been better, but this was my first time directing, and I didn't have any idea what I was doing. I had a shot list, and we had about $300 budget for green screen, costume, and everything else like camera, gimbal is just resources from my friends. I'd say the biggest mistake that I made was setting up the green screen, because we didn't have an actual studio to film it in, so I ended up shooting it on the softball field at my high school. and we had nowhere to put up the green screen, so we taped it to a fence, and it was a windy day. So not only was the sound terrible, but also the green screen was wrinkling and folding in the wind, and that made editing pretty terrible, because the whole point of having a green screen is to have one flat color you can key out. And, you know, taking a look at all this footage, the green screen doesn't really do its job. So that was pretty terrible to work with. Editing this was a nightmare. When I was filming this and coming up with the idea for this film, I had very minimal knowledge of 3D software. I had used Blender for a few things. I had been using Blender for some projects on Roblox Studio, but I had never tried to make anything realistic. And I had several attempts of, you know, some pretty terrible backgrounds. At first, I just assumed that I could use a picture of a field as the green screen background, but I shortly realized that wasn't what I needed, and I needed something a lot more specific for what I was trying to accomplish for this project. Okay, so basically I ended up, you know, looking around online, and I found some guy who posted a grass generator, which was exactly what I needed. And I'll put his information down in the description below, as well as the video for that. And for $5, I was able to download this grass generator. And I'm not gonna go to rendered view right now, because that's gonna absolutely explode my little MacBook. But this is what I ended up using for the backgrounds. It's just a plane with some grass geometry nodes and some basic shading, and it ended up doing the job. I got a bunch of different camera angles, and that was really all I had to do for the background, which was, you know, one of my biggest struggles. The biggest problem that I had with shooting, which I didn't even know would be a problem at this time, because I had just assumed that, you know, oh, we have a green screen, you know, we'll just edit it out. I'm sure if you're an editor, you can already tell what's wrong with this shot. And this was what's wrong with a lot of shots, but the green screen behind the king is completely folded and wrinkled, so, you know, you have one dark green color here and one light green color here. And the way that the key light effect works in After Effects, so I'm gonna go and I'm gonna throw on a key light effect. Let's see, key light, drag it on here. Now the way that key light works is it identifies one color and creates an alpha out of that. So you go to screen color, and let's just grab this green. And immediately you can see what's wrong with it. So go into screen matte and see, you know, what it's actually taking out. And now we can do some adjustments, you know, clip black, clip white, and see how this looks. And it's just not the smoothest. So for a lot of these shots, I ended up actually having to use the rotoscope brush, which is not terrible, but it's not the best. It's obviously Adobe has created RotoBrush 3.0, which is a lot better than RotoBrush 2.0. It's smoother, it's quicker, it's really great. And you can see, you know, as you drag along, it literally creates a roto, which got rid of a lot of work. And this is, you know, if this didn't exist, this whole project wouldn't have been possible. Every shot that I did, almost every shot, used this. I had to rotoscope everybody out using this method and make sure that everything looked fine. Obviously, I didn't do it this way. I would separate it into different layers. I would rotoscope out, you know, the body and then the face separately and the crown. And the crown gave me a lot of problems because it's reflective. It's catching all that green. So when you use a key light, and I think you probably were able to see that. If I just go back. Yeah, so when you use key light, I'll just put a white solid behind so you can see. It cuts out all the crown because it's grabbing all that green. So what I ended up having to do was go into Mocha and track the crown and make sure that it looked solid, and then go into the key light and set it as an inside mask, and then change the replace color to a hard color, which basically just tells After Effects, you know, hey, whatever's inside this mask, I want to keep it, and replace that color. Even if there's green inside, it's gonna fill in that color with another color, and that ended up working out for a lot of shots. All right, next shot. This shot was, I had actually remade this shot. So this was one of the most recent shots that I had done. And I'll show what the original shot looked like before this. For this shot specifically, you know, I rotoscoped out the person, and I used Mocha to track the eyes. So, you know, as there's movement, the glow kind of follows onto the eyes pretty exactly, and this is a really simple effect. I just used an adjustment layer, and I ramped up the curves. So the eye would go white initially, and it's just a mask that I imported from Mocha. I did a little feather. This solid layer, same mask. I just pasted the mask on 3 separate layers, but this I put a blending mode on this layer to make it seem like the white was bouncing off the eyes a little bit, because, you know, if the eyes are glowing, you're gonna want it to look like the eyes are actually reflecting on the skin, and it just adds a little bit more realism. And then this last effect, I just put a glow and a blur, and then I put some light rays on it, so it looks like the light is really shining in the camera, and it really looks like it's like this bright thing. Super simple effect, but, you know, I think it gets the job done. After I had shot this, I started working on it that summer. You know, it was my final project for film, and I got a grade on it. I got a grade on the shoot because I didn't even finish the project, so I was graded on the shoot, I guess. I don't want to talk about that. And I started editing, and it was not looking good. I'm not gonna lie. So I spent about 2 weeks editing, and I gave up. And about 8 months passed. Some stuff happened in life, and I hadn't even thought of coming back to this film. I just thought it was over. I thought I would never pick it back up. And you know, during my time at DePaul, I ended up taking a VFX class with a great professor. It was an After Effects course, and my professor taught me things that I already knew, and he taught me things that I didn't know, and it really helped me understand a lot more about the program and the software and what I'm able to do, and techniques and everything. And, you know, he gave me the motivation to pick this back up and, you know, see what I could do. I stayed after class one day and I told him, hey, look, this is a project that I'm working on. You know, I haven't worked on this in a while, but I wanted to get your opinion. I want you to tell me how I can make this look better. And I showed him a clip that I had edited a couple months prior. And for the first time in my life, I had received useful feedback. And he told me, you know, this doesn't look good. This lighting, everything, you need to make it match. You need to add shadows. You need to do this and that. And I was like, okay. So I go back home that night and I go in my dorm. I'm sitting in my dorm and I'm just sitting on After Effects thinking how I can make this look better. And that's when I stumbled upon the grass generator and Blender and many other things. And I started editing again, and I regained motivation, and I was able to make, you know, bad shots look good. And I had about 60 shots I had to do, so I knew I needed to come up with a method. But this right here, this is my favorite shot from the film. This is when the Black King, you know, he gets the glasses of truth and he puts them on, and I wanted it to be this really cool looking scene. So what ended up happening was I can find the source footage. Let's just isolate this layer. So this is the original shot right here compared to the final shot. So there was a lot of work that I put into this, a lot of After Effects crashing, but essentially what I ended up doing was I rotoscoped everything out. I rotoscoped his body into separate parts. I did the hands separate, I did the crown, I did the face, I did the body. Because that was something I learned in my class. You know, if you're rotoscoping something, you're going to want to separate each limb into separate parts so you can really isolate the color and get everything looking pretty solid. And I think I did a pretty solid job of removing the green screen, especially on this shot. And for the glasses, I ended up using the Saber plugin from Video Copilot, I believe. So I used Mocha AE, which is a built-in plugin for After Effects, and I tracked the glasses and I created a mask out of that. And for the VFX, I used Saber and I made the mask and I made all the corrections and everything, and then I pre-composed it. And, you know, a couple lighting tweaks here and there, you know, to just get everything looking really solid. This was another thing. I had to make sure that, you know, the fingers overlaid, because I was looking at it and I'm like, hey, it's glowing over his fingers. So I had to rotoscope his fingers out. And I added, you know, some lighting to give it extra... I don't know. I like the way it looked. So, after editing, which took multiple weeks, and I was motivated and unmotivated, but it ended up turning out really good. And I was really happy with the final product, so now I'm going to show you the trailer. And yeah, enjoy. So now that it's out, I'd really appreciate if some of you would check it out. I put a lot of effort into this. This is probably one of my biggest projects. This is my biggest project that I've ever done, and I'm very proud of it. So, thank you for watching. You know, maybe like, maybe subscribe. It means a lot. I'm gonna be posting more tutorials, so if you guys want to see After Effects tutorials on anything, like, you know, if you want to see, like, I'm planning on doing some effects from, like, The Boys. I'm dropping some tutorials on how to recreate some of those, so if you want to see any of that, just drop a comment down and just let me know what you want to see. And yeah, thank you for watching. Yeah, that's all.
Oh, no. Bro.
You have a light. Not here, but like, I got the remote, guys.
I know.